Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this EUROPARC webinar, Transboundary Cooperation, Increasing Benefits for Nature and Local Communities. My name is Fernando Pinillos. I work as a Communications Officer at the EUROPARC Federation. I would like to start the webinar with a little introduction to our institution, for those of you that are not familiar with EUROPARC. EUROPARC was founded in 1973 and today constitutes the biggest network of protected areas in Europe. We represent different protected areas, among them national parks, regional and nature parks, marine protected areas, and urban and peri-urban parks. Our work is focused in three pillars. First, we support our parks and park professionals. We protect nature, and through our actions, we bring people. Within our work and among the tools that we offer to members and to the general public, in 2017, we started a series of webinars. Today's webinar constitutes the 7th webinar of this series, and in the past we have been holding different webinars on different topics on sustainable agriculture, health and protected areas, tourism in marine protected areas, sustainable tourism, sustainable destinations, visitor management in transboundary parks, and on the European Union habitats. For those of you that couldn't attend this webinar, so that are interested in, you can see the video recordings on the website part of. So today I'm gonna go through the agenda of this webinar. Today we will start with a short introduction carried out by Stefania Petrosillo, which is the manager of the Transboundary Programme at EUROPARC Federation. This introduction will speak about setting the scene on cross-border cooperation and the Transboundary Parks. And for this occasion, we have invited two case study presenters. The first one will be Riina Tervo from Pasvik-Inari Trilateral Park. And the second case study presenter will be Silke Weich from Nature Park Maas-Schwalm-Nette. So we will finish the webinar with a final discussion in which we will go through the questions and answers that have been raised by the participants. For this, you will realize the participants, you don't have voice control on this webinar, so you can write your questions, comments, and greetings on the chat box that is located on the left bottom part of the screen. And all the questions, as I was saying, will be answered in the final discussions. And after the webinar, all the presentations will be available. Nothing else for my part, so I would like to give the floor to Stefania Petrosillo.
Thank you very much, Fernando. Good evening, everybody. Could you hear me? I hope so. So I am Stefania Petrosillo. Okay, perfect. I'm Stefania Petrosillo. I am the Policy Officer of EUROPARC Federation in Brussels, and I am also in charge of the Transboundary Programme. I will introduce a little bit the general topic of the discussion of today, and I will present a little bit the program of EUROPARC. So the first point, of course, why we need transboundary cooperation. For a simple, evident reason, because nature knows no boundaries. And the bigger question is it really possible for cross-border protected areas to reach their objectives of nature conservation without collaboration? So the first question is really only a choice to collaborate, or it's a necessity? Second point, we are not speaking only about nature, we are speaking also about local communities and about people. Because for some people, neither borders are not so important. For many families and many local communities, there are a lot of common traditions, relations, friendships, etc. So in many cases, they have a common history, and very often they are also a common future. So it's important to work together. And of course, it's crucial to promote the territories and tradition, to create together traditional and new economic opportunities. We are speaking about local products, tourism, etc. Here we have a big list of possible benefits. We will discuss about this today, thanks to the case studies of today, but we can see a lot of benefits for nature, of course, for the management, monitoring, investigation, actions for nature conservation. Also for the protected areas itself, because they can reach more visibility and they can have more power to influence policies, plan and programs in the areas. It's also important for the staff, because to work together can create a mutual motivation and can be very inspiring. It's also important for money, because working together means to have more possibilities to reach new projects. And generally speaking, it's important for people, because for public awareness. And let me say that it's important for Europe, because working together means to build on the ground European Union and Europe in general, and working for peace. Sorry to say this, but for me it's very important to remember that working together and build a mutual understanding really is something that still we need to do together. So it's very important, and I think that protected areas that are working together are really building something in this direction. Of course, it's not easy. There are a lot of challenges. We will speak about this also today. We can see that it's necessary a very strong political will to collaborate, to manage with differences of legislative framework. For staff, it's difficult because language, because time, because of funds, etc. And again, in general, it's necessary to build mutual trust. In some cases, it's difficult because in some countries, in some areas, this history is very hard. In several cases. So, what EUROPARC does? EUROPARC has created some years ago a program to support protected areas that want to work together. Our program is called the Transboundary Parks Program Following Natural Design. And this is a special verification and certification system that aims to promote and facilitate transboundary cooperation between European protected areas. Some elements of the system. EUROPARC has listed a list of basic standards. There is a verification process carried out by external verifiers. If the application is successful, there is a formal certification as a EUROPARC Transboundary Area, and this certification is checked every 5 years and renewal each 5 years. The application is open to all cross-border European protected areas, but they have to be members of EUROPARC. And what is important to stress also that this list of basic standards and the verification process provide a unique support system. What EUROPARC want to do is really to support protected areas that they want to work together. Just few information more about our program. The basic standards foresees a list of quality criteria to see how the quality of cooperation between the areas, and a list of fields of work. Both of them are primary and secondary. There are a list of indicators too. We are speaking about activities, very concrete, practical, and measurable activities. Some of these basic standards must be achieved before the certification, and others can be improved along the process. This is another important point. We are speaking about a process to improve the collaboration. So it's not just a picture of one moment, the certification moment. No, really what is important for EUROPARC is to support the process. And the verification moment is connected with this idea. So the verifiers really support the park during the verification. Then they send the recommendation to the areas and to the steering evaluation committee, who provide a recommendation to the council, the EUROPARC Council, that formally decides for the award. And then we have the award ceremony during the EUROPARC annual conference, and then each 5 years a new verification. Here we can see a lot of good results that the parks involved in this program say we obtain. This is the picture of the network. We have 10 certified transboundary areas at the moment that include 23 protected areas in 13 countries. The ParkNet Network aims to provide to protected areas mutual assistance, capacity building. They work together in working groups. They organize we organize with EUROPARC and the parks of the network events, conferences, webinars as this one of today, etc., etc. And we organize also each year a big meeting, the ParkNet meeting. The next year will be in Austria about river landscape area protection, because for each year there is a specific topic that the parks discuss. All information are available in our website. The program of the next ParkNet meeting will be ready soon. And of course, you are all invited to join us. To know more about the EUROPARC program, I put here a list of links where you can find more information, case studies. This is also very important. You can find a lot of specific experiences that maybe can be interesting for you. And of course, for all members of EUROPARC, it's important. We invite all our EUROPARC members to send their case studies to be published. And you can find the green infrastructure in TB areas. This is a specific topic, and the TB areas are very involved on it. And all info, report, and presentation about the previous ParkNet are also published. This is for my part. And now I will leave the floor to the first case study. Riina Tervo, the Finnish representative in the working group of Pasvik-Inari Trilateral Park, Finland, Norway, and Russia. She will speak with us about how they work together to protect the old taiga forest and to promote the dialogue, common understanding, and collaboration at European Union borders. It's important to stress that really they are working in a very important way, because as you know, this is a really border because Finland, Russia and Norway has to deal with the border of European Union. So I'm very happy to have Riina with us. And Riina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Stefania. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm really happy to have the possibility to describe in a nutshell and shortly how our cooperation here between Norway, Russia and Finland takes place. So we are located good 300 clicks north from the Arctic Circle. At the moment we are having -10 degrees and 30 centimeters of snow, and soon will the winter twilight start with the sun not rising above the horizon for next 2 months. We are altogether 4 different organizations which are managing the protected areas in our trilateral park and in our cooperation. And on the map, our cooperation looks like this. The waterways are important. There is the river Pasvik flowing here as the border river between Norway and Russia. Throughout our park, it starts from the Lake Inari, which is the second biggest lake in Finland, and the river runs all the way to the Barents Sea and Arctic Ocean. The river valley itself is rather lush, and it's surrounded by the mosaic of boreal pine forests and maes. On the Finnish side, there is one protected area called Vatsari Wilderness Area. On the Russian side as well, one protected area called Pasvik-Zapovednik. And then on the Norwegian side, 3 different areas: EUROPARC National Park and EUROPARC Landscape Protection Area and Pasvik Nature Reserve. And altogether our trilateral park covers a total area of 1,000 and approximately 900 square kilometers. All these protection areas are physically connected. And I wanted to show you this table in order to highlight the routes where we begin from. So the protected areas are having 4 different IUCN categories, and we are really remote wilderness-like area there behind a big lake and really on the border area of 3 countries. There's rather little of infrastructure, and the number of annual visits is altogether to our trilateral park 9,500 visits, and to the visitor centers in 3 countries altogether 126,000 visits last year. The managers of the protected areas are governmental organizations, except the EUROPARC National Park in Norway, which is having a local political board, and there a really fine and great feeling of our national park is being created to the Norwegian side of the Pasvik River Valley. The municipalities are really large up here, so there's only 1 municipality concerned in each country. And we are located on indigenous peoples' Sami home area, and in the management of the areas, this has to be truly considered and taken care of. There are, for example, ACLECON guidelines in the Convention of Biological Diversity, which are being followed. There are representatives of Sami organizations in the National Park Board in Norway, and the traditional livelihoods like reindeer herding and fishing, the Sami culture and 3 different languages spoken in this area need to be taken into consideration at all times. On the left side of the photo is the Norwegian side, and on the right hand side of the photo there is Russia, and in the middle of the river Pasvik there is the national border. So borders do separate, the nature does unite, and thanks all these national borders we can have this transboundary cooperation really. So how our collaboration then has evolved. There have been international ministerial level agreements like the Norwegian-Russian Environmental Commission and its working programs in 1986. somewhat later on Barents Environmental Cooperation. And in this Pasvik-Inari area, the first joint expedition was made in the beginning of the 90s. There were seminars and annual meetings. And so from there on, our regular cooperation has evolved. Then there was a common decision in the 2004 and 5 to actively develop our cooperation. And there was funding from Galactic, or from the Interreg and from the TASIS programs for a project where the main objective was to fulfill the criteria and standards Stefania just showed to us, which are in the Transboundary Parks program. And there was then 3 really intensive years of project implementation. Some of the standards we found that were fulfilled already. What was made new, for example, was a cooperative agreement between the managers. Their objectives and principles and organization and validity of the cooperation were stated. We got an action plan at that time, covering a 10-year period all the way to 2018, and the Pasvik-Inari Trilateral Park was established. And the story, Cinderella story, goes on. In the same year, 2008, we were certified as the EUROPARC Transboundary Park. There have been a re-evaluation and recertification in 2013, and now we have applied for re-evaluation for the next year. I want to highlight this action plan because we really consider that it's a backbone and good practical tool for our cooperation. You can find it in the web too. And the 5 main objectives are listed here on the slide. And under all these objectives, there are altogether 53 different separate activities. And those activities are either national or bilateral or trilateral. Some of them are once-in-a-lifetime activities and some of them annual. Some of them have mid or long-term scope. And this action plan is as well actively used when we plan projects. So nice, not yet done activities can be easily picked up from this entity. And at the moment we are in the process of starting revising and updating to make an action plan for the next 10-year period. And when we have our hands in the mud and we do this trilateral cooperation, that what it then really is in practice. Here are some examples. When it comes to nature protection and management, and including here monitoring and research work, we have, for example, identified 3 key species. The brown bear is being monitored every 4 years. There is annually a waterfowl registration, a bilateral activity on River Pasvik, where our Russian and Norwegian colleagues cooperate. The golden eagle territories and success in breeding is being informed from the 3 countries. And data is being exchanged and informed of the results when making surveys on different habitats and other species too. With the environmental enlightenment, I would like to highlight the environmental school in the village of Rajakoski in Russia, where our Russian colleagues arrange ecological camps for the local children and schools. And we do support in our cooperation the network under a project called Phenology of North Calotte. There the schools and teachers and pupils in 3 countries have a really magnificent database and annual meetings under the phenology as a phenomenon. And still for the enlightenment, there is, for example, a bird watching day arranged on the World's Environment Day in the beginning of June, and in 3 countries guided tours are arranged and results being put together. Norway has been winning now in series of many years, and this seems to be a trend that continues. And as we are rather remote area, the promotion of sustainable nature-based tourism is done in rather small scale. For example, there's one cross-border hiking trail from or between Norwegian and Finnish protected area. There are some workshops for entrepreneurs and common guidelines to be addressed when practicing sustainable nature-based tourism in the Trilateral Park. We do consider that there are two extremely important networks for our cooperation. The first one is this very one, EUROPARC's Transboundary Programme and its ParkNet, which you already saw examples what all good is there available. The second one is Green Belt of Fennoscandia initiative, which is the northernmost part of the European Green Belt. Their trilateral and national and regional activities are taking place between the three countries, and we are actively involved. And I want to highlight that we are really dependent on the external funding from the EU's neighbourhood programmes in order to achieve bigger activities. And I'm really looking forward to the Silke's presentation, as in their cooperation in Maas-Schwalm-Nette, the projects are run in a really experienced way. This kind of annual cycle we have identified as a best practice to coordinate our transboundary. There are two bodies. There's the advisory board, which is formed by management authorities and municipalities and regional authorities, and experts are being invited. And the second one is a working group, which has one representative from each country. So in the autumn, in August usually, the advisory board gets together. There the working group reports on the current year's actions. There the organizations change important news. There's lots of discussion. And finally, there's as well decisions made over the prioritized common actions for the following year. Then in February, March, the action working group gets together, and there it's coordinated that how the responsibilities for implementation of chosen activities go. After that, there's lots of field work, lots of office work, like you know, Skype meetings and emails, phone calls, WhatsApp messages, Google Drive documents, and then may the next year's advisory board meeting come again in the autumn. In order to provide one example from the protection of the boreal pine forests, this is how the mosaic of Myers and pine forests look like in autumn colors. And this is the summer insight to the old growth forest. In order to strengthen our international collaboration, we have decided on the key species brown bear, which crosses the national borders. And the results then received from the monitoring, they are not only for the scientific society, but as well to the local people. There are sheep farmers and reindeer herders, locals having cabins, for example, and the results contain the estimate on the minimum number of bears in the population in the region, about differences in the bear numbers observed and info materials, and so forth. There is a harmonized method that is being used in monitoring the bear population. It's a non-invasive sampling method. In the very heart of it, there is a awfully good sensing lure, which the bear wants to survey more close, and barbed wire then around trees, making a sample crate shown in the drawing. It's a non-invasive method that there's no contact with the animal, and it has been proven really good. When you should be interested on how the bears interact at the lure, you can see the link on the right-hand side low corner later on. And here are results then from this unified common method from 3 different years, and the next monitoring summer will be 2019. So the results are about genetics for identifying their individuals, and individuals are saved in a database, and the whole stream is about capture and mark and recapture again. The main actor here is a research institute called Bioforsk Svanhovd, and then its DNA laboratory in Norway. So we do not identify any disadvantages in the transboundary cooperation, only benefits, and I want to highlight few here. Through the cooperation, we have joint understanding on our shared natural resources, and there are lots of synergies given through the all kinds of partnerships between management bodies and research institutes, for example. And after these 20 years of cooperating, that there is a really fine experience in how to adopt mutually acceptable solutions, as the operational environments and the cultures and the languages do differ. And we have possibilities to improve our own professional knowledge and language skills, and as well reflect then from the partners to our own organizations what we could do differently. The lower part of the list is then more about the EUROPARC's Transboundary Parks program. There we consider that it's good to analyze the cooperation regularly, and we have got help to structure the cooperation to improve the parts that are a bit lacking behind, and they're really fine quality standards which we are filling up. This was the greetings from the Hein. So kiitos and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Riina. Very, very interesting. I hope you will receive a lot of questions. I have many. Fernando, maybe you can put my presentation so I can introduce Silke. Thank you very much. Okay, here you are. Okay, Silke Weich is the project manager from the Crossborder Natural Park Maas-Schwalm-Nette between Netherlands and Germany. She will speak about cultural and socio-economic benefits for cross-border communities involving private and public stakeholders in common projects. Sorry. I think that it's very important to stress many things about this interesting case study, but one is the most important, that they have been so good to create one single management body for the area. So Silke will tell certainly about the association that these areas decide to create to really work together day by day with only one management body. Thank you, Silke. The microphone is to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Stefania. Hello to everybody, and thanks for coming into the chat room this afternoon. My name is Silke. You heard that already. Let me go to page 1. Okay, EUROPARC colleagues, can you help me how to get... Okay, thank you. Here we are. Okay, I'll talk to you about the benefits, the socio and economic benefits that we are meeting every day. I'm working for the German-Dutch Nature Park. We are located in the city of Roermond in the Netherlands, but we are actually half German, half Dutch. In my presentation, I'll introduce our work to you. I'll tell you a little bit how we are organized, what our tasks and goals are, and in the end, I'll show you some cross-border projects and our benefits with them. Here you can see where we are located. So somehow in the corner between Berlin, Paris, and Amsterdam. And here, this is the city of Roermond, where our office is located, and it's right at the border, as you can see. These are the surroundings of our nature park. It has a size of approximately 12,000 square kilometers. And we are a transborder association consisting of a German association. This is all Germany. This is the border. And this is the Netherlands. And the counterpart of the German association are seven Dutch communities in the province of Limburg. Since 2007, we are Transboundary Park, so we first certified that year. And in 2012 and 2017, we have been recertified. For us, being member of EUROPARC and Transboundary Park Network is a big advantage concerning the exchange of data and the best practice exchange. And for us, it is very important too that that verifier is coming to us every 5 years, because as you all know, you get a little blind after a couple of years, and he really shows you a mirror, and he really shows you some defaults or some challenges and advantages what you can make better. So for us, that is really a big advantage. And the annual meetings and conferences also give us quite some opportunities to exchange and to kind of leave your cabin and get more ideas. Here are some characteristics, who we are, what we have. Our nature is rivers, forests, lakes, heathland, moors, agricultural landscapes. As we are in the Netherlands, we are rather flat, but we do have a couple of hills anyway, formed by the glacials. In the middle of our nature park, there's a heart of 10,000 hectares of Natura 2000 habitats, and on Dutch side, the national park, the Main Lake in the Netherlands. Yeah, I just said that. We have a lot of water. I don't know if we have as much water as Riina does, but we do have a lot of water too, rivers, creeks, lakes, and that plays a very significant role in our nature protection and tourism as well. There's a big visitor potential in a radius of 100 kilometers because we are close to quite some urban centers. So there's a lot of people that come here in the weekends to recreate, to hike, to do bike riding and anything like that. And last but not least, we also have some very interesting historical sites that are quite interesting for our visitors too. Okay, just a few words about our history. Originally, there was that German nature park, Schwalm-Nette, that was founded in 65 of the last century, and that was enlarged 11 years later because German and Dutch politicians, they said we have to do something. We have to do something cross-border. It also had to do with becoming more friends after the Second World War and going back closer together. In the meantime, it was that was actually a geographical unit, and it was managed by an advisory board of German and Dutch politicians. After a few decades, they said, well, we have to get organized, we have to found an own German-Dutch association, just one office, one unit that is taking care of both sides and it takes care of common projects. And that happened in 2002. And today we have an administration with statutes, and we have a board of directors, a general board, and everything is German and Dutch. So any kind of unit we have, there's always German and Dutch people sitting together and deciding. Our office consists of 2 people. That's the director, Leo Weiring, and the project manager, and that's me. We are both bilingual. Well, we are multilingual, but what I want to say is we both speak fluently German and Dutch, and which is very important for our whole project organization thing, that we really speak each other's languages. Okay, here we go. Our goals. We do have nature and landscape, recreation and tourism in environmental education. These are the 3 big topics of our daily work. In these topics we organize transborder projects, and for those we do the planification, organization, the fundraising. And we do this for our target groups and stakeholders, which are the communities, the NGOs, the people that live in our park, the water boards, tourists, authorities, the forestry administration, and the tourist organizations. So all these people are either target groups or project partners that we work with together within all our projects that we realize. A couple of words about how we are financed. We need 220,000 euros per year to run our office. Any kind of administration, wages, housing, all this is what we need to run the office. 1/4 is being paid by the federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, 1/4 by the province of Limburg in the Netherlands, 1/4 by our participants, half Dutch, half German, as I told you, the German administration of the nature park and the 7 Dutch communities, and 1/4 we have to gain by fundraising, by project management. So that about the money. And here's a quick overview about the projects that we realized in the last years. Since 2002, we raised 13 million euros for different projects, mostly EU-funded projects, Interreg-funded projects. A couple of them were small projects that were purely Dutch or German-wise paid, but most of them were Interreg projects. And here is an example of what we realize within all these projects. So there's a lot of nature conservation projects that are being realized. Recreation facilities go with them for visitors. This is a very big part of our cooperation, people in action. That means that we bring people together within all our projects. So we have voluntary working days, we have tree planting days. Anything we do has always to do with that German and Dutch people meet each other, that they communicate, they become friends, that they interact. We also bring researchers together on German and Dutch side, and yeah, that is just a very, very big part of our daily work. We organize excursions, or we rather give a platform for excursions. There are all kinds of organizations within our park on both sides that realize excursions, so we give the platform that these excursions are being offered in German and Dutch language. So there are excursions on both sides of the border. There are transborder excursions, and yeah, for hiking, biking, anything to get acquainted to nature. On our platform, we have about 700 excursions per year, and these excursions are being demanded by about 20,000 people. These statistics we get through the guides that tell us the amount of people that are attending their excursions. Besides, we organize workshops and trainings for all kinds of different target groups, for nature guides, for gastronomes. For here you can see this is a workshop on nature theater that we realized. So we brought people from the world from the theater world together with nature guides to allow people to not just have a guided tour through nature, but to also have a theater play on the hiking trail. So it gives people another view of the nature. And here also it is for us it is very important that we always bring German and Dutch people together for them to be able to exchange. Here you see PR communication, maps, folders, ferries that we visit. Here, this is a new book that we wrote, and it is about to be published in December, and it's about 21 nature reserves within our Transborder National Park to give people a closer view about our park. It's not that Leo and me wrote that book only. We work together with volunteer authors and photographs to be able to realize that book. Okay, last but not least, I want to give you some benefit examples. What do all these projects actually deliver for our region? There was this one Interact project we realized it was we called it Water Hiking World. There was 9 certified hiking trails on both sides of the border. And the certification originally comes from Germany, from an institute, a hiking institute. And that certifying system slowly crosses borders in all kinds of directions. So there are certified hiking trails in Denmark, in the meantime in France, in the Netherlands, and Austria, and so forth. So we were the first certified transborder region that crossed the border to the Netherlands. Costs were 435,000 euros. Our stakeholders were gastronomes, hotels, and other touristic facilities. Here, I cannot really give you a number of benefit because it is really hard to count the number of people that we hike these trails, and it is hard to say how much benefit do the stakeholders actually have, because they have of course they have a problem to give us their yield per year. But here the verifier that was quite good for us too. The verifier that has visited us this year said that it would be good to install a counting system for on the hiking trail. So we are thinking about that. But the stakeholders reported to us that there has been an increase of about 30% more visitors. And what's very important too is that more visitors cross the border. Germans that go to the Netherlands and Dutch people that go to Germany to use hiking trails. Another project is a nature and forest fire prevention project that we are realizing right now. Goal is trainings of firefighters and nature NGOs and the exchange between the two of them, and measures for fire prevention. The project is 900,000 euros in total. The stakeholders are firefighters, nature NGOs, and communities. And as an example, what is being realized, there are wells that are constructed at the border. for about 150,000 euro, and water retention basins are being reconstructed for 50,000 euros. And the profit is that both sides can profit of this because they have extra water is being provided in case of nature fire, and more safety. So this is money that goes actually provided for the communities. Next example is the project Cultural History. In this project, we are realizing that right now too. In that project, we want to physically improve historical sites. And the nature theater that I told you about earlier is being implemented within this project. And we are developing an application for mobile devices to be able to experience about 350 points of interest within the whole natural park. The whole project costs $2.6 million, euros. And the stakeholders are the communities, museums, historical associations, and tourist organizations. And that is just one small example, because that's one of the that's one of the historical sites that has been improved lately. There's one castle on top of a hill, and we just realized an elevator for physically handicapped people. So this is really a big advantage for the community, that they could realize that elevator for about 180,000 euros. Okay, and here's my last example. There was a Nature Border Waters project where we worked together with 5 water boards from both sides of the border. That was a project that ran from 2009 to 2012, and it cost 4.2 million euros. And yeah, a lot of measures on rivers and streams have been realized. River renaturations, fish passes, water monitoring on the border. To give you a couple of examples, and all these are big opportunities for water boards and communities with the support of European money to realize very, very big water quality projects. Okay, and just a couple of words about cross-border cooperation. Yeah, we are actually, Leo and I, we kind of are with one foot in the Netherlands and with one foot in Germany, and the border runs right through our body, and we kind of feel Dutch and German, and that is a big advantage, that we understand the different cultures. Even though Germany and the Netherlands sometimes seem to be familiar and very, very close, there are quite some cultural differences that really need to be understood. And therefore, our bilinguality is a big advantage. And what you have to be is really flexible and patient, and the will to learn from each other. And sometimes, if things don't work out, to try again, and to just not let go. Yeah, working cross-border makes new friends. We live that every day, and we also see that within our ParkNet meeting family, that it really opens our minds, and we really love our job, and we come to work whistling every day. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm very much looking forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Silke. Very, very interesting, your case study too. Let me just underline some topics. One is about Natura 2000. Your experience, as well as the Riina experience, showed that this program, the Transboundary program, is very useful also for Natura 2000 management. This is something that for us is very important to underline. The second point is about culture. Please, this is an information for everybody. Next year will be the European Year of Culture. So for European Union will promote all aspects linked to culture, and for EUROPARC it will be very important to stress the connection between natural protected areas and culture, and of course the role that transboundary cooperation provides also on this topic. And thank you, Silke and Riina, to stress also that to be in the EUROPARC network is really to be in a family, because this is really what we would like to promote. Okay, thank you. And last point, I saw several questions. Please consider that in my presentation there is a list of links where you can find a lot of information, for example, about tourism and transboundary cooperation. So you can copy the presentation after the webinar, and you can surf in our website, and you will find a lot of information. Thank you very much. Fernando.
Thank you very much, Stefania, Riina, and Silke. As a reminder to all the audience, let you know that the webinar is being recorded and it will be available in EUROPARC website, the same than the presentations that the different speakers have showed today. Okay, so I also would like to remind you in the minutes that we have left in this webinar that you can write your questions on the bottom left chat box that you can see in your screen. So we're going to go through the different questions that the audience has been raising. And well, the first one is a question that is addressed to Stefania, but I think, well, I invite Riina and Silke also to provide their inputs and their expertise in this regard. So the question will be, from all the challenges mentioned, which would you say are the key ones for getting to successful transboundary cooperation? Stefania, you want to start with some inputs?
No, I prefer that Riina and Silke start.
Okay, no problem. So Riina, I give you the floor for you to...
They have the contributors.
Okay, so Riina, if you would like to contribute with some of your expertise to this regard.
Yeah, I think the discussion, good time for the discussion, and then analyzing where can be the strengths, considering the different kind of legislations of countries and different kind of management practices for the protected areas, and then I think the cooperation can work on certain sectors to identify those. That is what I would like to say at first.
Okay, thank you very much, Silke. Any contribution?
Fernando, I'm sorry that I did not understand your question very well. Would you repeat it?
Yeah, no problem at all. So the question refers to which are the key challenges. I mean, Stefania was mentioning some of the challenges in her presentation. What would you consider that are like the keystones, the key challenges?
The key challenges.
For successful transboundary.
Yeah, cultural differences, language. These are the key challenges. Yeah, different administrations, I would say too. Yeah, those three: language, culture, and different administrations. Yeah.
Okay, so those will be like the key challenges to overcome for. Thank you very much. Following the questions in order, we have another question to Riina. Well, it relates to this question that we have just addressed. Have you faced any challenges related to the different cultural backgrounds? And if so, how you get over them and build a positive atmosphere? What will be the main strategies to overcome the differences in backgrounds?
Thank you. I have been now about 8 years actively in this Pasvik-Inari Cooperation, which has really long roots in the beginning of the 1990s. so can identify that our dear Russian colleagues, they are really excellent storytellers. They are referring to historical events. They're really warm-hearted people, and they work really hard. And the research is one of the really main activities that they do in the Pasvik Zapovednik. And then our Norwegian colleagues, they are really relaxed outdoor persons. And as I'm a Finn, I may say this aloud, that we Finns, we are a bit stiff and we are not talking so much, but we are really keen on the cooperation too. So I would say that the organization's memory carries really far, because we have really reliable partners involved and devoted key persons, and there's open discussion. That I think I'm a person now enjoying already from the fruits from the hard work that my priors have been doing. When it comes to as well interpreters and using the language that our advisory boards are bilingual, there's Russian and English is used, and those wonderful ladies do, though they interpret well the professional language and all the themes, they as well are fine persons, and they contribute as well to the warm atmosphere. And all kind of field excursions taking place at the same time, and getting to know the local culture during those meetings, that they all contribute to the fact that we have actually really lots in common.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Stefania wants to add something to the previous question regarding the challenges. Stefania, I give you the floor.
Yes, thank you. So only to say that another point for me very important is the political framework. So according to the stories that the protected areas always said, it's very important that there is a general framework that supports them. It must be not only a personal commitment from somebody involved in administration, that is very important, it's crucial to have committed people, but it's important also a general support from politicians and from administration. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Stefania, for that input. We follow with the questions, and there is another question for Riina. Is there in place any common monitoring database in the case of the bear monitoring that you were speaking about, that you share between the three parks? And in the case of positive or negatives, what would be the main problems that you find in building up these kind of resources that are shared between the park administration?
Thank you. The brown bear database is hosted by this research institute in Norway, Maas-Schwalm-Nette, and somehow we have identified at the moment that we do collect the results. It's hosted by our Norwegian colleagues, and there is not such a common database at the moment. And what we have identified, that what we are lacking and what should be made better and improved in the next action plan, is a kind of monitoring program, including as well a common database. But really, we are not yet there.
Okay, and could you identify, like, in general, what do you think would be like the biggest problem or obstacles to build these common resources? Maybe it's too early to ask this question as it's not implemented. So
I don't know. I think there's lots of time required and input from different specialists from the three countries in order to have a good solution for the digital solution in general.
Okay, probably
I can't now answer better. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. It's too early to answer if you have not. Okay, thank you very much. Can
I just add something from our park in regard to that question?
For sure.
In Nature Park Maas-Schwalm-Nette, we have different NGOs that have databases, And there's not one common database, but these databases are being shared trans-border. We even have once a year there's a German-Dutch symposium where German and Dutch researchers meet each other, and then the exchange on different topics is taking place. So there's quite a close cooperation going on.
Okay, and they will be hosted by third parties, wouldn't be by the park administrations, but by external NGOs, isn't it?
Yeah, by nature NGOs, right.
Thank you very much. We follow with the next question, which is, well, a double question, and it will be regarding the educational programs with kids. Do you have trilateral projects together with between the three parts? This question is for Riina. And if so, are you planning to organize a junior ranger camp? It's a double question.
Thank you. The Norwegian and Russian schools, they have been cooperating more than 10 years under this phenology of North Colored, and there has been one project where then the Finnish schools were invited to the network, and now obviously we would need a second external second project with external funding that we could really launch the cooperation, because the schools do not have such annual funding for international cooperation, and yes, we are the managers in our or the organizations in our Pasvik-Inari Cooperation. We have the role of supporting this network. So hopefully we can some external funding for the schools. I mean, when it comes to junior ranger camps, Metsähallitus as an organization has arranged few, so there is good knowledge and expertise in the country, but here up in the north we have had not yet plans to get more info about it and really start implementing the junior ranger program. So I have written it down here. Very good note that we should consider this for the future.
Okay, thank you very much. We follow with the next question, and will be, how do you manage day by day the borders administrative challenges and language challenges that being in a cross-border cooperation rises? Do you have any strategies? Sorry, the question is for Riina.
Yeah, we do not have a strategy. We have found our way out. There are the multi-visit visas to Russia, and similarly our Russian colleagues do have visas to visit Finland and Norway. Quite often we do get together geographically in the middle, on the Norwegian side of the Pasvik River Valley. The border guards have been participating in our advisory board meeting. They are really crucial partners when, for example, this waterfowl registration is taking place. So the border guards are with when the scientists from both sides of the river Pasvik go around with their boats and register the birds. So these are a few examples how we address the border restrictions. And yes, the Pasvik Zapovednik is located on the strict border zone, where not only the visa for Russia, but as well a special permit for entering the border zone is required, and therefore we get together there sometimes, but not too often.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Silke, do you want to add something to this question?
Well, it's much easier, of course, for us. It doesn't have anything to do with what Riina experiences. For us, I live in Germany and I work in the Netherlands, and I go back and forth, and on research level, it's no problem to cross the border. It's much easier. There's not very many restrictions.
Yeah, of course. Okay, thank you. And the next question will be regarding the IUCN categories. The different IUCN categories within your areas, does it present a challenge for you? The question is addressed for Riina.
Yeah, there were the 4 different categories and different legislations and practices, and well, therefore, for example, we do not have a common management plan. We do have the joint action plan where we can pick up really topics that suit, whether they are trilateral at best or then national when it comes to a certain protected area.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and there is another question that is related to, I guess, to the action plan, the joint action plan, is about how do you manage the specific habitats and species between the cross-border areas? Do you have them included in your action plan?
Species. There are those few key species. Yeah, there are habitats in general and those few key species mentioned before. And there was something, I think, was it in the same question asked that when there are different opinions about some species, then, for example, the Norwegian reindeer do cross the river pass when it's covered by ice in the wintertime, and they do enter the Pasvik-Inari where
okay, yeah, sorry, yeah.
The animals are not allowed. So then there are meetings where and they discuss in order to find practical solutions.
Okay, so,
for example.
So it will be a participatory process. Okay, thank you very much. The next question is for Silke. How do you reach out to the local people? For example, for volunteering days, do you advertise on social media, local newspapers, or do you use other means of?
Yeah, social media, local newspapers, radio, local television, and a lot mouth to mouth too, because there's very many like nature guides that are involved within the national park, and that also have a big network, and so that is a big thing too. That the stakeholders of the nature park, they do a lot of mouth-to-mouth propaganda. But yeah, social media and public relations.
Okay, and thank you. And following with you, Silke, well, this how about visitor management? Do you already address the visitor management within your areas?
Well, we do have some statistics that we about visitors of our guided tours. Besides that, we do not have very many numbers of visitors within the different areas. We don't really count them yet. Besides, visitor management is taking place by a big network of hiking and biking structures and hiking and biking routes. Yeah, does that a little bit cover the question?
Yeah, I guess it's in general about how did you address the visitors management. So.
Yeah, so as I said, we do have how do you call it, route networks, and so the protected areas and visitor areas are separated, and but there is of course a lot of recreational area where visitors can come and visit and do their hiking and biking trips.
Okay, and I think the question refers a bit of if you have any system to monitor the visitors that cross the border, that coming from one part to another.
Right. That is something that has been discussed during the last verification visit of EUROPARC, and that is something that is on our to-do list. How we can organize that, the counting of the visitors in the nature.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to continue with the next question with you, Silke, even though it's for both Silke and Riina. Mm-hmm. Are there any legal requirements as the base for your cooperation? Or do you have to work together or have the nature management bodies found in the most practical order in order to manage each their administrative area? I can repeat you the question if you need. It refers to the legal requirements that you need for that there are in place for the cooperation that is taking place between the different parks. Can you speak about this?
Legal requirements in regards to what exactly?
To the cooperation that you carry out with the parks. If there is any legal requirements, I guess this refers to if there is any legal confrontation between the laws present in the parks.
Well, of course, there is a couple of requirements. For instance, animals crossing borders, not wild animals, but domestic animals. There are requirements or restrictives. There are different. Let me see. I know concerning wild animals, wild boars is a big difference, because in the Netherlands, wild boars are they only have certain areas where they can live, and in Germany we have big forests with lots of wild boars, and when they cross the border, they're just being shot. So these are differences, but yeah.
Okay.
I cannot think of any other requirements right now.
Okay. Riina, maybe you have something to add?
Yeah, I think there are no legal requirements in that sense that there are memorandum of understandings and other kind of ministerial agreements to cooperate, and then our organizations have found it crucial and beneficial to do transboundary cooperation.
Okay, thanks. And we're going to go to the last question, which is addressed to both of you. In general, which will be the improvements that you consider are needed or desirable in the future?
Okay.
Is it okay, Silke, that I start?
Yeah. You want to start? You go ahead.
Yeah. In Pasvik-Inari, we find that we are really administrator focused cooperation, and there's really varying interest of participation from other local groups. There we need to definitely improve, and surely we could find more mutually interesting activities within our partnerships that to expand our cooperation. At least those two.
Okay, thank you. Silke, any other?
Yeah, I would love to have some more exchange of authorities too, or other organizations, NGOs, whatever, to underline that mutual exchange. As, for instance, I would really appreciate if a community that is located right at the border would exchange more with another community and interchange staff, for instance, for a couple of months. So that makes it easier for future projects and for future corporations to exchange and to know who to call if you have a question. You know, we are sort of like an interface, we as Maas-Schwalm-Nette, but it would also be great if people would know how to find each other more easy.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just reading there is a last question. To clear the current question, each country has a nature protection policy. Is it stated in this that the transboundary cooperation is necessary within the nature protection policy of each country?
I'm sorry, I really have a hard time understanding you because you are gone every now and then. Would you please repeat it again?
Yeah, of course. Just 1 second. Each country, the question refers to the nature protection policy existing in each country, okay? So during inside that policy that the different countries have, is it stated that a transboundary cooperation is necessary, or this is a voluntary initiative that the parks take? Would you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just thinking. Well, it's a hard question. Is it necessary? It's a big advantage, I would say, to have the transboundary cooperation. I don't know if I can say that it is necessary, but it is a big advantage. I'm sure a lot of things would not be implemented and it would not happen if we wouldn't have that cooperation. So you could call it a necessity to reach your goals.
Okay. It refers to the if it is stated in the policy that each park has. Is there any statement in the policies of those parks, in the management plans of those parks, that the transboundary cooperation should be implemented, or is something that is not being contemplated normally in the management plans?
In Pasvik-Inari Cooperation, we have the agreement on cooperation where we do sign in that we do have this annual get-togethers, and then in order to sign out of the transboundary cooperation, the partners have to announce with certain time and so forth. So in that sense, for our trilateral cooperation, it has been used.
Well,
thank you very much.
Just one lesson. In our case, it is all our work is actually based on the transboundary cooperation. So it is, it's the heart of our cooperation to work transboundary.
Okay, so I think we close the questions with the last one. Stefania, may you have anything else to add?
No, thank you to everybody. I just wrote, please contact us, contact EUROPARC, contact the parks in our network. We will be very happy to share with all of you our experience and to listen your experience too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stefania, Riina, and Silke for these awesome presentations, and thanks to all the participants of the webinar. Just a reminder, all the presentations will be available on our website together with the video recording of the webinar. To learn a bit more about the Transboundary Programme, the information is also at EUROPARC website. And please stay tuned for future webinars that we will be organizing the next month and in the coming year, 2018. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah,
and
thanks
have a
from
nice
my part
afternoon.
too. Okay, thank you very much too. Bye-bye.
Bye.